Ready to go there.
All right. Okay. Welcome,
All right.
everybody. Welcome, Doctor. Welcome, me.
Okay, and welcome both of us here. And
And now we're going to kind of try to recap what worked out to be a complete week for us, which was good.
yeah, with no problems, no issues, or anything there.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
that was kind of a nice little change.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay. On Tuesday, we covered 50s pre rock, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and all the items that were not rock then, but were on the verge of becoming rock.
Yep.
And then on Wednesday, we started our Star Trek, the original series thing.
Mm-hmm. Part one at least, because
And
we
we
got
got,
part two. We got part two coming this Wednesday as well.
in part one, we covered most of the first season.
Hmm.
So we kind of went over that. And then it's going to look like it's going to take at least three parts, I think.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but maybe not, because actually the third season doesn't render itself for a lot of discussion because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
as good as the first two seasons. But we'll see
Yes.
when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Thursday night, we talked about the advent of rock and roll
Yeah.
and the people that started it and some of the bigger artists then, or some of the artists then. We didn't really get into the big ones,
Yes.
but we kind of covered, oh, a little bit about that. And we're going to get more into that, but we'll cover that in just a second. Then on Friday night, we talked about Plan 9 from Outer Space, which
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. I hope people that did listen to it enjoyed it,
It was. Yes, definitely.
because that is one kind of movie that it almost made me want to see it again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it'd be earlier on before we talked. You saw we when you contacted me prior to this starting. We mentioned the movie Sheena, Queen of the Jungle from 1984 that starred Tanya Roberts and Ted Watts and Donovan Scott.
Yeah, I wasn't real familiar with that movie, but I went and read about it and thought, yeah, this would be a good one,
Yes.
because it won a bunch of those Raspberry Awards or Golden Turkeys or whatever they
Yeah,
call
it
them.
was the writing and the dialogue was very terrible. So definitely we got to talk about that for shizzle.
Yeah, but that basically was our week last week, and I thought they all went pretty well.
Yeah, so with no disruptions, no issues, no Skype problems, no problems, no people interfering here and there.
Yeah, that was kind of a nice little thing.
Yeah,
And this week, what we're going to do is Tuesday night, we're going to pretty much make that the Elvis show. And we're going to talk about Elvis and his huge contributions because that guy was
to
definitely,
the rock and roll scene. Yeah, because him next to the Beatles were like one of the major players influencing everybody out there.
yeah. And not only are we going to talk about his music, but we'll get a little bit into his film career because he had, I think it
A
was
lot of
30
films.
movies.
Yeah, gosh, a
Yeah,
lot of TV specials, a
yeah.
lot of tall books about him, and you got to say that was not a player would be a stupid. It would be an understatement.
Oh, yeah. And
He
I'll be
was one of
honest
the
with you,
biggest ones out there.
I haven't seen all of those movies, but I've seen a pretty
Yeah.
good bit of them. So I can
Yes.
kind of comment on them. And some of his co-stars went on to become very famous too, and we'll get into
Yes.
those because he
All
had
right
some
there.
big ones.
Yes.
So we'll spend Tuesday pretty much on the King. We'll just call him
Absolutely.
that.
This gonna be yeah, the king of rock and roll which is what we will be doing tomorrow night. Definitely.
Right, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully, if anybody out there is an Elvis aficionado and can contribute, maybe they can come to the chat and say something. Maybe they'll come on
All
the
right.
call. We have a
All
few
right.
people that we can talk to if they show up.
Definitely. We should probably invite some people along. Probably at first for this series here, because usually it's just you and I, and we never really get to invite other listeners.
Well, I know when we get to Wednesday night and we start Star Trek, and we'll start with the end of season one, We'll go
Yeah.
into season two and we'll try to finish
Yeah.
it, but if we can't, we can't. But I
Yeah.
know that Devious Dave Rose mentioned in my comments that he would have loved to have been there for it.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Dave, we will definitely add you to the call on this coming Wednesday night for this particular topic. Definitely.
and the one we'll start with, well, I don't remember the name of the one we ended with. I think it's Errand of Mercy. But the one we're
Yeah.
going to start with is, in my mind, the best Star Trek episode from the original series ever made. And
Yes,
we'll
definitely.
start with that one. Uh,
Hmm.
so we'll get into that. That one may take a little while, but possibly not. But if anybody wants to preview that one, look for City on the Edge of Forever,
Okay.
because that is possibly the best episode of the whole run. It was written by Harlan Ellison. Well, I'll talk more about it tomorrow night.
All
But
right.
it
Or
was a
Wednesday
great
nights.
Wednesday night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's still Wednesday. It's still Monday here. It's still got my Monday morning here. I mean, Monday at evening here. I'm double talking there. All
Yeah,
right.
well, I'm
So,
running all over the place, I guess.
I
And
know.
so Wednesday will be Star Trek Toss, the second part, and I'm guessing we'll get into a third part.
Okay. Yeah,
And then on,
definitely. And definitely on Dave. And by the way, shout out to Dave. He just commented great episode. I know he is definitely looking forward to Wednesday night. And definitely, Dave, we will add you if you wish on Wednesday night during this discussion.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure you'll have some good input, and that's what we're looking for. We're not really looking for anybody to come on and do any shenanigans,
Or
but
drama, as they say. Or we're looking forward to having somebody just help out with the subject that we're discussing here on the episode. There, definitely,
and I'm pretty sure he'll do that. So I'm looking forward to
definitely,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. It's always good to have Dave give his input there.
And he's actually welcome on any of these that he wants to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next thing
Oh,
is Thursday night. And
yep.
I'm thinking what we need to do with Thursday night is go to the big stars, but lesser stars of the rock and roll 50s. That would be
Hmm.
like Buddy Holly, the Everly Brothers, Roy Orbison, and Ricky Nelson are the four I'm thinking of.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't, there are others. Oh, maybe Chuck Berry, he would be a good one.
You know what? I'm thinking about this possibly either tomorrow night or Thursday night. We could probably have ourselves a little bit of the debate if you want. Um, a lot of people say that Beatles were pioneers. A lot of people saying Elvis was a great influencer. We should have the debate? Who was the bigger, the Beatles or Elvis Presley? Because if you remember the ABC movie Birth of the Beatles back in the early '80s, manager Brian Epstein tried to convince the head honchos at EMI Records to sign the Beatles, and they were like scoffing him off. And he did say something like, "The Beatles will be bigger than Elvis Presley," and I think that kind of like touched off a little bit of debate for me. And I was thinking about that not too long ago. That maybe we should have a debate on who was bigger, Elvis or the Beatles.
That might be
Who?
interesting because there's points to be made for both.
Yes,
I mean, you can make
we
points
def.
that Elvis was the bigger influence, and you can make points that the Beatles were because they actually widened what music was, and Elvis stayed pretty much in his niche. But
Yeah, and I personally, if you ask me, I think both played a humongous part of influencing everybody to take up singing, to take up instruments, start playing, get into bands, and everything else. I mean, both acts
absolutely,
had both had humongous tributes done to them. Both had humongous tribute groups and projects out there. We have Elvis tributes, Beatles tributes by the dozen, next to Kiss, next to Led Zeppelin, you name it.
yeah. Anytime that you have a band that has popular tribute bands, even Pink Floyd has one that's I think
Oh
Australian
yeah,
based.
there's the Brit Floyd, the Australian Pink Floyd tribute show. There's a couple others there. I think the one that God knows a couple that escape my mind at this moment there, but it'll probably come up later on after this broadcast.
Yeah, I know that up here, I don't know if they still play or not, but there's a tribute band that went so far as they even dressed like them, did an era thing with them,
Ah.
and I mean, it was a full tribute.
Hmm.
But
Dressing them like it because Pink Floyd didn't really dress at all trippy when it came to stage clothes. They just wore their jeans, shoes, shirts, regular shirts, and that's about it. They let the music and the performance speak for them.
yeah, they wore whatever they felt like wearing that day. They didn't have any
Yeah,
special outfits. I
no,
know
they
that the
didn't.
Beatles, when they did some of the Sergeant Pepper stuff, they even wore those uniforms from Sergeant
Wow.
Pepper. So
Yeah. Well, the Beatles wasn't doing any shows at that time. Remember in '66 they decided to stop touring. They were going to concentrate on doing a lot of experimental stuff that it was obviously impossible to play live, no doubt.
yeah, some of it, I know. In the cover band I was in, we attempted some of it, and it was like, no, we can't do
Yeah.
this.
I know you're going to have either samplers or tapes roll in to somewhat duplicate that exact same stuff that they did in the studio.
Yeah, but that's basically what we're going to look at Thursday night, though, is well, at least five of the bigger artists,
Hmm.
but not to the extent of Elvis. They had their, they had trends, they set trends, and they're definitely worth talking about. And maybe between now and Thursday, we'll even come up with a couple more. We don't, who knows?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times these guys blend into the 60s too, so we can kind of drop them into the 60s when we get to the 60s, which will
Hmm.
follow. Actually, that's next, and we'll spend a long time on the 60s
Definitely.
because there's a lot of ground to cover in the 60s because that basically was the explosion of music, and that carried on into the 70s because the
Yep.
70s basically exploded too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and towards the '80s and of course the '90s as well, and the 2000s, which we are still in right now.
yeah,
Mhm.
or the 2010s, I guess. I don't know. It
Yep.
just depends on,
Or the
kind of.
2020s, or the 2020s, I should say, where
Yeah, they
everything is
just
like at
started,
limbo. Yep.
and there's nothing going on, but
Yeah.
there will be. I mean, a lot of these people are just
All
getting
right.
it together.
I gotta get me something to drink. I'll let you have the mic, Arky, and I'll be back in a couple seconds.
Okay, well, and then Friday night is when we're going to talk about Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. And like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but I read up on it, and it's definitely something I need to see and just marvel at it because it apparently is a very bad movie. And what I read about it, plot wise, it is unbelievable. And some of the stuff they described in the movie, I'm almost looking forward to seeing it just to see if it matches Plan 9. But I have a feeling that Plan 9 stands alone. But Sheena comes close. And there are others. I think after this, we're going to kind of look probably at the Godzilla uh, filmography because there were good ones. The original Godzilla was actually pretty good. And then they started getting kind of flaky with some of it, various monsters he was facing, things of that nature. So that is worth discussing, just basically so we can say, okay, here's the good one, and then follows up with here's the bad ones. And
Hmm.
pretty
Yes.
good there's a pretty good bunch of those movies. Now I don't recall how many there are off the top of my head, but there's enough there to keep us busy for a while if we really wanted to. And if we wanted to follow up with another one, did you ever see the Gamera series about the, I guess,
The gam
nuclear powered
the
turtle?
gam You mean a nuclear powered turtle, the Gamma series? You were discussing Godzilla, if I'm correct. I just got
Right.
back there, folks.
Yeah, we were
Oh
talking
yeah.
about Godzilla now. How I probably want to follow up Sheena with Godzilla next week, and
Or
maybe
Mothra.
or Mothra.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It was kind
Gamera
of
is
funny. I got to mention this. Since we're on the discussion of Godzilla and all the creatures that have battled there, these are basically for the people out there. Godzilla was just a regular lizard, who somehow grew into this humongous size, along with Mothra, a regular moth, and other creatures out there from nuclear power.
Right.
When you think about it. And I guess it's safe to say that all the Greenpeace anti-nuclear activists out there definitely saw Godzilla as a way of spreading the message about the dangers of nuclear waste, nuclear usage, and everything else. Because when you also think about that, you can't help but throw in what happened at Chernobyl back in 1986 and
Yeah.
what happened there. I have seen some photographs of people affected by Chernobyl, and whoa, daddy, holy cow, man, this shit is intense.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But that'll be an interesting bunch of films to talk about because Godzilla in the very original one was a bad, bad gorilla.
oh, yeah,
I mean,
bad
yeah, he
mofo,
was
I guess
bad.
you could say. Yeah,
And
well,
then later on, he
that's
became,
if it was a he, because you remember Godzilla had a kid. I don't know if it was a
yeah,
woman
that's
or
true.
what. Yeah,
But I know that he started out as a horrible monster destroyed Tokyo. Later on, he ended up being the one that was saving Tokyo from other monsters.
yeah, man. There was another one where it was Godzilla versus King Kong, if you recall.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of those kind of movies.
Oh yeah.
Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla, Godzilla versus a sea monster. I, there's a lot of. We'll get into that pretty deep probably because that's going to be phenomenal. And like I
Uh,
said, Gamera is a good one to follow up because he followed the same path. Japanese monster was evil and trouble, and then all of a
mhm.
sudden he became a good monster that was saving Tokyo. It's kind of
Yeah, he
weird how they
became a
did that.
baby. He became in pro wrestling terms a baby face.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Japanese to me, the Japanese are kings at building monster movies. They just got a way of doing it that just kind of it's kind of neat. So
Neat, original, and stuff that would never die.
oh
Basically, you got
yeah,
to credit the Japanese for their kind of characters that they came up with. Whether it was Ultraman, Pokemon, Godzilla, and all these other characters.
very creative people. Very creative people.
Hmm.
Um, I like their stuff real well.
Yeah.
But I think that will be an interesting discussion after we get done with Sheena.
Hmm. Absolutely. There, definitely.
Yeah, I was just talking about
Now,
that. I hadn't seen that movie, but I'm looking forward to it.
definitely check it out this week. Much credit, as bad as the acting it is in that movie. You got to give it up to Tanya Roberts to looking fly in that outfit that she wore.
Yeah, definitely.
Excuse me, because I remember there was a movie magazine, and I was flipping through the pages, and I noticed that there was a little spotlight on Tanya Roberts, and damn, holy cow, I fell in love with that picture because damn,
Yeah,
she is.
that was well. She was in. I never was really a fan of Charlie's Angels, but she was in that
Yes,
because
towards the later years, yes.
this is going to sound kind of weird, but bluntly, I thought that movie was bad for women. You know, everybody says
What,
that.
Charlie's Angels? The which
Yeah,
one? The original TV series or the revamped one with Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, and Cameron Diaz?
actually, both of them. You know,
Oh,
they were purported to be something that advanced women, but in my eyes, they kind of threw them back a little bit.
all right.
But
So,
that
so basically, like women serving this one man, right?
essentially, it just didn't to me. It didn't turn out to be what they were saying it should be. Is what I
Uh,
guess is what I'm trying to say.
so basically, they felt like the message of women overpowering, becoming these big crime fighters and such was kind of like vice versa.
Which was a great concept, actually. I just felt like they went about it wrong.
What about the second movie when with Demi Moore as the enemy there?
Actually, I haven't seen that movie.
I've heard about it a few times. That had Demi Moore, who we haven't heard from for a while, a couple of years before.
Yeah.
She became this a former angel of Charlie's, and decided to become the bad person, the villain there, I
Huh.
guess.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I may have
I
to look
remember
for that.
there were clips about there was clips a lot that were shown in all these TV shows and all these movie previews and such.
Yeah, I may have to. Well, that's one of the things about that I see going on about what we're doing here
Yeah.
is you may tell me about stuff that I'll go, I got to see that, and hopefully I do the same to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I've been reading it a couple of times on Plan 9 from outer space, and I will say one thing. Before you make a movie, whether it's a music video, whether it's going to be aired on Netflix or YouTube, or which fan made or professionally made, please get together ahead of time and know what you're doing, because so many independent movies out there that are being made have run into a lot of problems because of budgets, scripts, people leaving the set, actors quitting such and such.
Or just the movie is bad and no one's telling you it's bad until
Hmm.
somebody reads it and said, "You think you're really going to shoot this?"
Yeah,
And then maybe you'll go, "Oh, maybe not. Maybe I should think
yeah,
of something different here."
yeah, no. I'm thinking right now of the movie Box and Helena that was originally supposed to star Kim Basinger. You remember this movie? It's about a psycho doctor who falls in love with this one woman who decides, but amputate her arms and limbs and keep her in the box so she won't leave him. And I guess a lot
Uh,
of people were complaining about that movie because of that plot alone. Again, Kim Basinger was supposed to be the original star for that movie, but she walked out apparently. But I don't know if it was because she felt uncomfortable with the storyline and such, which I don't blame her if that was the reason there.
yeah,
I
that
wouldn't.
doesn't sound like something I'd want to be involved with.
And of course, she was later replaced by Sherilyn Fenn, who played in, I guess, a couple movie roles. I think she was involved with Twin Peaks, if I'm correct. But
Yeah, and she was
basically,
actually also in the lawyer movie, The Practice.
yeah,
She was in
I
that
remember
one.
that. Yes, correct. And basically, the movie studio took Kim Basinger into court, which she had to pay all these amounts of monies. But when the judge ruled against her, basically she to file for bankruptcy soon afterwards. Basically try to prevent herself from paying all that restitution money to the movie studios. But the movie did eventually come out with Cheryl Lynn in her place there. And after seeing a couple of photos in the Time magazine to talking about the movie there and giving its review here, I was like, holy cow! I could see where Kim Basinger was coming from there. That's a very uncomfortable thing to be put up against, to be in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. That I haven't seen that film, but I
Hmm.
have heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard the same here, man. Now, when you look at it, you show some of these Me Too activists that movie. How do you think they would react? Would they blow their gaskets?
Oh man, that'd be a heck of a reaction, I would think.
Oh yeah, because here's this psychopathic doctor so obsessed with this one particular woman who will not, who basically he doesn't want to hear the word no. He wants to hear yes and yes only. And just resorting to this tactic to keep her by her side. And it's like, what the fuck? Now,
Yeah.
if I'm incorrect with the movie plot, feel free to write in the chat or call in on Skype here to correct me there. You know,
Yeah, actually, a little participation in the chat would be nice.
you know what? Let
A
me
few
get rid of
comments would
this.
be
Well,
nice.
let me get rid of this paper plate here, and I'll see if I add some people to the call here. I'll be back again.
Yeah, does anybody want to come on? If you do, just say so in the chat, and you're welcome to come on. It's just recap and just random thoughts right now. But if someone's got some stuff they'd like to cover over what we've talked about or anything of that nature, that would be pretty nice. That would be cool. So, like I said, if you're wanting to join in, give us a call or give Dr. Earl a call, uh, and he'll put you on, and we'll talk about more of this various stuff we're covering right now. But hopefully, we can get some input from somebody or someone, because something in the chat would be nice. And if you want to do anything in chat, leave a comment. Uh,
Okay.
if
Let's
nothing
see if I
else,
could.
if nothing else, give us some ideas on stuff. Even though the music passed pretty clear, but
Hmm. Let's
there
see.
might be some TV shows you want us to talk about. There might be movies you want us to talk about.
Oh. Hey, Dave Rose, if you want me, let me know in the chat if you want to be added to the call here. I'm thinking about adding you in. It's been a while since we heard from you, man.
Yeah, I'd welcome some input there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try to add the devious one to the call here. See if we get this damn thing going here. And I don't know if it's not letting me or what the fuck it had to, because my Skype, I don't know, sometime I had to clean this damn computer out a lot of time every time I use my OBS for some reason. I don't know if it got too much of the OBS or on here.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the
Well,
laptop I
there we
use.
go.
I'm trying to keep the laptop that I'm
There we
using
go.
as clean as possible.
All right, now let's see if I'm going to call it the devious one right now. See what kind of suggestions that he has for us here.
Sure.
All right. If not, we could just chat and bullshit around a few tidbits here and there, and let's discuss what's going on outside of this community and within here. All right. So, is it starting to be a little bit chilly in your area there, Ark?
It today it never cleared 70, which I know some of you guys are saying 70. I wish we had 70. Well, here in
Oh
September,
wow.
70 is almost cold.
Oh wow. Because I went out earlier on to get some Mickey D's for the whole group here, and it was a little bit. It did chilled out a little teeny bit there, not to the point where you have to wear big overcoats and such, but
Oh,
it
we haven't
just
got there
kind of
yet.
like, I know, that would be about somewhere around November, December, January, around those months. But at least I give the great state of Texas credit. At least when it gets cold out there, you don't have to really bundle up like it did happen in Michigan there.
Oh, it'll get cold here, but generally it only lasts like 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Now, is there parts of snow in your area, in the Dallas area, the Fort Worth areas there?
We occasionally get snow,
Oh.
but not a
Uh,
lot.
because because a friend of mine her name is Royal Bex, who lives in Plano, Texas. There, shout out to her. We're buddies on Facebook. She posted a little video of her driving to work. With her daughter there. They were filming this live video on Facebook, and there was a lot of snow and sleet on the ground there. I was like, holy cow, damn,
It will happen, but it only happens generally 2 or 3 days a year. We
wow.
usually just
Because
don't
one
get a
time,
lot of snow.
wow. The only time I've ever seen snow was when I was running the errand for to the gas station there, and I noticed there was snow falling on the ground. It's like, holy cow! I got it on video there while I was at the gas station, and it's up there. It goes back to around December of 2017.
Yeah, and that sounds about right because we've
Yeah.
had some pretty big times when we had a lot of snow, but they're
Wow.
rare and they
Wow.
don't happen a lot. And what's sad is when we do get it, a lot of times it makes the roads icy because a lot of times if you get straight snow and it's really
Oh
cold,
gosh.
your roads don't get icy. But
Yeah.
because when it snows here, it hovers around 30, 32 Fahrenheit. Uh, it's right on freezing, so it'll melt, it'll freeze, it'll melt, it'll freeze, and that's when it's dangerous. So you hear people talk about, oh, you guys don't know how to drive in snow. Well, we do when it's snow, but ice is a
Well, I
different
did.
matter
Back
entirely.
in Michigan, I did.
Yeah,
Back
ice
in
is a
Michigan,
different.
because remember,
Yeah,
I'm a Michigan native, so I basically prepared myself a lot of times, for the snow when it goes on the ground there. And believe me, we had to drive very, very carefully, especially on the freeways.
oh yeah, and you get used to doing that. Heck, I lived 4 years in North Dakota. Thank you, Uncle Sam. And living in North Dakota is like living on a table that's white 6 months out of the year,
Hmm.
because it snows there, and because it gets so cold. You really don't have an ice problem, just a snow problem. You got to be careful because it does get slick. And I learned to
Yeah.
drive on the stuff, so you do learn.
Yeah, you have to learn very carefully on how to drive on snow. It's, because I remember my dad and ma used to teach me, coming back from a diner that we ate in earlier on, and it was snowy as hell outside, and my dad was teaching me. This is when I was learning to drive
Right.
for the first time. This was around 19, early 19. This is around 1986. And what it was is that he was teaching me, don't press on the brakes right away and when you're making a stop because you will slid into the other car in front of you.
You
All that
basically
good
learn to pump your
stuff
brakes a
there.
little bit.
Hmm. That's right. So that's why I learned to do right then and there. Now, moving here to Texas, I'm going to have to remember that all that stuff just in case we get a massive snowfall in this area, or we have to
You
drive to a certain area because where there is a lot of snow.
you likely won't have that happen. If you get a snow, it'll be light.
Hmm.
Uh, it, but I'm saying that's basically been my perspective. We have had
Yeah.
some one or two fairly large snowstorms, but nothing to get all excited about.
Well, nothing to be worried about there. But
Right.
I know some of the people who live in that Texas all their life be like, "Oh my God, look at all this snow."
Yeah, they panic.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
know. I'm like, excuse me, have you ever rode a bike in the harsh Michigan winter weather like I did for about 7 years?
Yeah, wow.
I had to do it. I was struggling at that time. I was making ends meet. I was living from paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have a car, let alone the money to buy one. So I had to get around everywhere I could on a bike. Of course, a lot of help from the DDOT and the smart buses helped a lot of times. And this took place while I was in Richmond, Michigan. I have to
Right.
say Richmond, Michigan, so people won't confuse it with Richmond, Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
And also to differentiate, you didn't actually live in Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did when I was first born.
Right.
We was first born.
But you
My
likely don't
mom.
remember that.
I remember a few things. I remember sitting on the front porch of our house. I remember sitting, watching the TV. I remember my dad going to work in the morning and my mom going to work at the evening, and dad would watch us, me and my sister, a lot of times. Then my dad got this job at this bigger paying job in the Mount Clemens area, and that's when we all decided to move to Roseville, and that's where we remained it for a good amount of years.
Yeah, I remember a lot of my early youth, some of the shows I used to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, because
We gotta do an episode on that when it comes to TV memories. That's
oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Because some of the
What was
stuff
our
that I watched
favorites?
way back when I was growing up, I remember watching the Three Stooges a lot. I remember the Little
Oh
Rascals,
hell
our
yeah,
gang.
love the Three Stooges. I loved them. I remember one time, and I give the. Did you ever see the movie The Three Stooges that came out a couple years back? I remember me and my girlfriend at the time watched the movie there. And it was just like We enjoyed it. It was kind of, they really tried to pay homage to those guys, definitely. The
Yeah,
three
I've got to
actors
see
that
that. I
played them.
actually haven't seen that. Well, you probably know my situation. You probably don't. It's a little tough for me to do it because I'm partially, almost fully disabled, but I'm actually partially disabled, and
Ah,
I don't get out much. In fact, actually, with everything going on that is going on now, I don't get out much.
wow.
But I haven't been
I
that way all
see.
my life. It's just been the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow. Is it because of old age or something else?
Well, that and a little health issue. I do dialysis
Wow.
3 days a week,
Wow.
so
That's
I got
trip.
that going on. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I don't recommend it for anybody unless you absolutely have to, because it's not a fun thing.
Not fun thing, man. Never fun.
But the
No.
only the only thing I get out of it is they have a little TV in front of me that I can watch, and for 4 hours I generally watch the ID Discovery Channel. So
Mm-hmm. I see.
yeah, it's pretty much all I got to watch because it's the choices are rather limited, but that's the one I end up watching
Yeah.
most times.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. I'm going to get your take on now on this here. Now I did a little video on this subject there that I found out earlier on that evening there. There is a thing on TikTok known as the Benadryl Challenge. It's encouraging young teenagers out there who have TikTok accounts to take large doses of this allergy drug to induce hallucinations and to get high. But here's the thing, the excessive doses of this could cause some serious health issues, even causing death in a couple of situations there. Now, the manufacturers, Johnson& and Johnson, has posted a few warnings about this challenge. And the officials at TikTok said they have been removing these posts that are publicizing and condoning this particular challenge.
Well,
Now,
honestly, I stay away from TikTok. I don't think I've ever
I don't
really
even
been
have
there.
one myself.
I don't
I
think
have
I've
yet.
ever been there.
No, I don't think I'm glad I never did. And now with all the talk that TikTok may be banned from the U.S. by President Trump being talked about for a while now, it's probably best to stay away from that because now, as we had heard, some of our data, our information when we sign up for TikTok is basically being shipped out to China because they were the ones who originally came up with that idea, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard. Uh,
Yeah.
and like I said, I generally try to stay away from stuff like that for the most part. I have a Facebook account, but I
Yep.
rarely use it. I
Ah.
mean, I probably hadn't posted anything on Facebook in a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Facebook, I also did a video earlier on talking about this subject there. I'm going to let everybody know here out there on YouTube land. I'm going to be doing something on Facebook known as the Halloween Soundscape series. Now, anybody, including Jim Case, um, Kelly, and everybody else who watches me do my music streams around the prime time period once in a while. I often do three types of music: dark techno, dark slow jam, where I take a techno stream and slow it down, and also a dark soundscape set where I just combine a bunch of dark sounds together, including sounds of Mercury, Jupiter. Sound effects that last over 3 hours from some certain 1950s sci-fi flicks like Forbidden Planet here and there.
Yeah, that,
And what I do is I mix them all together to create this. Yeah, you make something new.
well, the
Now
50s
I
and
have.
60s were a treasure trove of science fiction movies.
Oh yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
big fan of that era.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, because that was in its when sci-fi was really in its big prime. And of course, sci-fi kind of went sideways for a while until the first Star Wars came out in
Right.
1977. That's when all the sci-fi started booming, and once again, we got had all these little rip-offs, or actually carbon copies, if you want to call them, like one of the movies I mentioned, Battle Beyond the Stars, Laser Point, and a few others up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also, we gotta. By the way, we also need to talk about Battlestar Galactica on one of our episodes of TV Memories. Definitely.
Oh yeah. There's
Yeah.
another movie if you guys want to see something that defines bad. If you
Yeah.
look up bad movie in a dictionary, there's going to be a picture of Battlestar Galactica next to Plan
No,
9 from Outer Space.
the movie Battlestar Galactica or the
I'm
series
sorry, Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield? Or, oh yeah, I was gonna say Battle. Oh God.
Battlestar Galactica was at least passable.
Yes, it was pretty good. Me and my best friend Dennis were had all these action figures and all the little toy ships out there. We got it deep into the one of the controversies about that, which I'll save for that time period there.
Well, there was actually two different versions of that show.
Yeah, I remember the one that would instead of Lauren Green, they replaced him with Edward James Olmos as Commander Adama.
Yeah,
And plus, it was like, and instead of Starbuck, the main hero being a guy, they switched it up, made Starbuck a woman. And the man who ran this, whatever the hell's his name, the guy who controlled the Cylons, I forgot his name. Damn it!
I
They
don't
made
remember off the
him
top
a.
of the head.
I have to look it up on Wikipedia sometime soon when it comes to that, and start a learning before we do our show on that particular show. But instead of the vengeful, almighty heel that this guy was, the man who commanded the Cylons to destroy Galacticon, all the other
Yeah.
ships along with them, they made this guy reluctant, kind of questioning his motives, blah blah blah. That's what I remember reading about in the paper before the preview of the sci-fi version of Battlestar Galactica.
Well, that's not a good heel.
No,
A good
that's
heel
not a good
doesn't do
deal.
that
That
way.
No, absolutely. I mean, people were thinking the same first about Kylo Ren. I mean, like, but then again, Kylo Ren kind of juiced himself up to be a bad guy, unless of course, until he got redeemed. He redeems himself towards the end of episode 9.
Well, another one we might discuss a little bit because it's interesting is Stargate SG-1.
Oh yeah, the series there. We got to talk about that. The success. We got to talk about the success that these syndicated programs do over the network shows.
Yeah,
Because
because a
God
lot of
knows
times they
how
do
many.
better.
Yeah, Star Trek: The Next Generation was one. Baywatch was another. God knows, and there was so many out there. Sheena, the TV series with Gina Lee Nolan was one of them. Believe it or not.
Yeah, they did two seasons, I think it was, because
Yeah.
I also,
Yeah. What?
during my research for Sheena, ran across that,
Hmm.
and I saw
And
that.
plus, there was a few out there that really tried. I'm trying to remember a few others I remember seeing as well. Let's see, and I had one in my head. And it just went escaped my mind just like that, man.
Well, basically, all of the Star Trek spin-offs were syndicated.
Yeah,
None of them ever made it to network television, I don't believe.
except for a Picard, it's Discovery and the new one, Lower Decks. That's on CBS All Access at the
Well,
moment
yeah,
right
but I
now.
don't count that as part of network. I figure
Yeah, it's true.
network's the
It's a
stuff that goes
streaming
out.
channel.
Right.
It's the streaming network, basically. And we need to definitely talk about that when we discuss TV, all these streaming channels that we got, whether it's Hulu, Netflix, and of course, all the Peacock TV, Pluto TV, which I have on my TV here, watching some of the old episodes of Doctor Who, thanks to my nephew out there. Shout out to him.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
if any of you get a chance out there that are watching this,
Mm.
subscribe to my channel. One of these days, I may
Yeah,
do some other stuff.
yeah.
And I do have a Twitter account. I don't use it, but I'll start. And also hit Dr. Earl, follow him,
Yes,
and
right.
subscribe to
On
his channel.
Twitter. Yep. And once again, none of these little stupid little comments saying from these bot channels saying, "Hey, I'm single, want to hook up," and it finally turns out to be some sort of a stupid, XX rated channel here. It's a fake account, basically. I've been getting those a lot of times. I had to remove one on last Sunday's foul mouth program. I noticed a few of them, and also be aware of these stupid little things like that. I talked about this before. The stupid little channels, these bot channels saying, "Nice video, let's be friends."
Right.
Yeah, I spoke about it a few times and a couple others, including Keemstar. And that's pretty much about it. So I'm thinking that's it for today. There, I believe.
Yep.
We are letting everybody know what we got coming this week.
We'll be here at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, five
Yep.
o'clock on Thursday, 6 o'clock
Yeah,
on
because
Friday.
that's right. All Central Time,
Right.
basically. So it's an hour ahead on the Eastern Time standard there. All right. Okay, Arknolia. I look forward to discussing Elvis with you tomorrow night, same time,
Should be a
same
lot of fun.
stations. All right, definitely. And thank you to everybody for watching out there. For Arknolia and myself, this is Arknolia and the Doctor. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. All right.
All right. Take care. Bye now.